Welcome back to Soundbites, the show about good people doing good things in the local food and drink scene. And today it's my pleasure to talk to Chef Seadon Shouse of Halifax Restaurant. And you might expect to find a restaurant named Halifax in Nova Scotia, but you'll actually find this one in the W Hoboken Hotel in New Jersey, where it overlooks the Manhattan skyline. So, welcome, Chef Seadon.
Thank you.
So, explain to everybody your connection to Nova Scotia.
So I was born in Nova Scotia on the South Shore, in Liverpool, actually, and grew up there until I was 15, and then I moved kind of to the States, and then back to Canada after that for culinary school.
Right. So, where did your culinary school journey take you? You traveled the world, but let's start with the culinary school.
Sure. So I went to Culinary Institute of Canada in Charlottetown at Holland College.
Am- Amazing, amazing. A lot of great instructors have gone through that there in the day.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
And so after Holland College, you went back to the States, or what experiences did you gain before eventually landing in New Jersey, where you are now?
So yes, after Holland College, went to Nantucket for 2 years, where I did my internship from school, and then I ended up staying there for 2 years. From there, I moved to Southern Florida actually for almost 2 years, um, and got my fill of the heat, and then moved to Kentucky. It's a
Hmm.
strange place to go from there, but went to Louisville, Kentucky for 5 years. Helped open a restaurant there, um, and then just decided about 12 years ago to move to New York. So we've been in the New York, New Jersey area now for 12 years.
Amazing. Well, okay, Kentucky. I'm guessing you picked up some barbecue tips and drank a bit of bourbon, but so now that you go back, you go to New York, and then I assume you must pitch the idea that what about for a concept restaurant on the flavors of the East Coast. So how was that? How did that come to be, and how was that pitch received? Obviously, they accepted it, but tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I met the owners of the W Hotel here in Hoboken about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when there was a different restaurant in the same location. I was their chef for 1 year, but it just didn't really work out after that as far as the kind of the restaurant it wasn't what I was wanting at the time. So I left for a little while, and then basically reached out to the owners. Sorry, they reached out to me a few years later and said that they're looking to change the concept. Would I be interested in coming back? So immediately jumped at that opportunity and talked with them. And together we kind of agreed that a restaurant kind of showcasing kind of the northeastern coast, and my upbringing would be perfect in this area as there was nothing like this around, and it kind of fit the space as well as what they were looking for a big change. So together we kind of created the concept of Halifax, which is northeastern farm and coastal cuisine. So we're using as much local products as possible from Rhode Island all the way to Nova Scotia. We get quite a few products from Nova Scotia as well. So that's kind of how we started the concept.
And was seafood, part of your kind of family tradition growing up? You're from Liverpool, which is deep South Shore, so I mean, amazing fishing area. But sometimes chefs and people that live on the coast don't necessarily always eat what they have. So, was it part of your diet growing up, or is that kind of passion for seafood evolved over time?
It was seafood from when I was young. Kind of from what I can remember. I remember eating pan-seared mackerel for breakfast in the morning with eggs.
Mhm.
Mackerel that we would catch in front of our house in Eagle Head area, which is just north of Liverpool. So yes, seafood was always a big part of my growing up. The local mussel guy would drop off 10 pounds of mussels at the house. We would get
Mhm.
um, local pollock delivered, haddock delivered to the house from early days.
Awesome. Okay, and part of the tradition of Nova Scotia cooking, because of our cool, some might say, cold climate nature, was the idea of preservation. You had to find ways to preserve fish and meat and your vegetables to last you through the winter. Has that kind of been infused into the menu at Halifax?
It has actually. So my upbringing, we actually didn't have power for the first few years of my young years, and we just had a windmill. So we kind of kept things cold in a root cellar, preserved items at home as well. So in Halifax, we've kind of taken that a little bit farther and doing a lot of smoked fish, smoked meats, cured meats, dry cured meats that take a couple months to cure. Um, a whole selection of smoked fish, like I said, as well as pickling and fermenting items as well.
Amazing, amazing. And you said there's some local Nova Scotia seafood on your menu?
There is, yes. So a few products. Some depending on the seasonality, that kind of come and go. But right now, we have Nova Scotia swordfish on the menu. Just finished using halibut from Nova Scotia. Just came off the menu. Also, a bunch of seaweeds. So I get some
Mm.
great seaweeds from a local forager there. And in Prospect area, he forages and gets me sea truffles. I currently have on the menu. Some sea lettuce from there,
Yeah, amazing.
wakame as well. So
Yeah, sea truffles becoming popular. We were just talking about sea truffles earlier. It's a small, small world. So, do you ever get back to Nova Scotia? And if you do, is there dining destinations you'd like to check out?
yeah, so I go at least once a year, not as much as I'd like to. So I'll be coming back there in October for a kind of family trip, and I would really like to experience more of Nova Scotia, how it's changed in the restaurant scene in the past 10 to 15 years that I've been gone, and experience kind of some other restaurants in Halifax and Cape Breton as well, some that are kind of intrigued me.
They should because there's some pretty cool stuff going on in the market. So you make sure you reach out and get some tips. Um, So, for any Canadian seeking to do a foodie road trip to the New York City, your hotel looks like it has an amazing position, like beautiful views back onto Manhattan. Really, I guess not that far away from the city.
Correct. Yeah, we're right across the Hudson River. So people tend to stay and think they want to stay in Manhattan, but in reality, obviously not just because I'm in the hotel, but our hotel in Hoboken is a much better view of Manhattan. So staying at our hotel is right on the Hudson River. The views from the restaurant as well as the hotel are directly of Manhattan skyline. So especially at night with the lights, it's just absolutely incredible the view of Manhattan. And it's super easy to get to. So we're a 4 minute walk to the train, which is a 10-minute train into the city. So super convenient to
Amazing.
stay.
Amazing. So if we have some Canadians wanting to travel to New York City to do a little foodie, great place to stay would be your hotel, dine at Halifax. And what are some of your other favorite places in New York City as a foodie to go and try?
So there's so many to list. But kind of my one of my top destinations is a restaurant called Tuome, Tuome, and it's a great kind of a casual restaurant, but really fun food. Really focusing on the ingredients, keeping things simple and focusing on ingredients. So that's one of my favorites. And then, as far as a high end restaurant, which kind of brings a lot of inspiration to me, is another restaurant called Aska, which is a Scandinavian restaurant. More on the tasting menu, but it's still really inspiring. Their use of
Yeah.
seafood and seaweeds.
I'm sure a lot of similarities between the Nordic gastronomy movement and what's available foraging in Nova Scotia too, I'm sure. So I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. I think it's great to see a local Nova Scotian doing so well in the Big Apple, and let's hope we get some Nova Scotians to travel down and experience a little of Halifax in New York City or in New Jersey. So thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.